we need to protect our bodies and abstain because we shouldn't be able to we should be having a lot of sex with people.
Right.
But then we say my body count don't matter. So like it is conflicting messages.
So does body count matter only if you've had a baby with them? Because now if I get with you, if I get with a female and I got babies and baby mamas, I'm sure she want to know about that, right?
Yeah.
Ain't that a body?
Yeah.
So you want to know the body count if it comes with something, but you don't want to know the body count if it comes with something you can't see. I still got the trauma from it though. I'm fussing at you and angry at you because of what this last female did, but you don't want to know the body count, so you ain't gonna even know where my trauma come from. That don't make sense. Now, I'm not telling you I got to give name, address, age, favorite position. That's not what I'm talking about. And hear me, for some people, it may not be a big deal because they may not have a lot of bodies, but for somebody, it may be a big deal. And if it is a big deal, that should be something that we are willing to discuss. But if you're not going to show me your credit, we're not getting married. If you're not going to show me your heart, your mental and physical, I'm talking about like mental health and your physical health record, we're not going to get married. If I can't meet your family, we're not.
Oh, wow. Hold on.
Wait, you going to marry somebody and you don't have a mental health evaluation on them?
Wow. So hold on.
Are y'all?
I've heard through, speaking to a lot of experts that background checks is just relatively normal.
100%.
I heard that and that was new to me because I didn't, that alone was like, damn, I getting background checks. I thought that was kind of invasive, but it's practical, especially, for young ladies, because then they have like a whole physical life danger threat aspect that kind of comes in the dating part. I get it.
Yeah.
But you're saying these other evaluations you should be looking at when you're seriously vetting somebody. So mental health evaluation and what was the other one?
Credit, mental health, credit, physical.
So physical health, just making sure.
What if you have high blood pressure? What if you have high blood pressure that runs in your family? Shouldn't I know that? Because that's going to be in my children. Your diet, your eating habit.
That makes sense. Depending on what kind of career you're getting into and what profession, they'll do that too. And you do want to have a general idea of what you're signing up for too.
Well, but when do you do these things?
I say,
that's my thing.
I say it should be some of this stuff should be right before you make the decision to propose, but a lot of this work happens during the engagement. That's what the engagement process is all about. It's not to plan the wedding. Is to make sure that the marriage is healthy by making sure that the marriage or making sure that those that are being married are equipped with the tools to manage marriage. And that's what the engagement stage is all about. Yeah.
That does make sense because I'm not going to lie. Like even there's certain health, things that comes with, health that could blindside you and cause challenges and issues in a marriage that could potentially break you guys.
100%.
That wasn't potentially discussed. And now these new, they weren't new. They always existed.
Yeah.
But you weren't prepared to handle some of these challenges that inevitably come with a relationship, and it is what it is.
It is, yeah. And I will say this: a lot of people in the chat are saying that, well, this is his opinion or this is subjective. You're 100%. This is not biblical. I could give you biblical standards and biblical advice, but it's going to be a lot more staunch and a lot more difficult. It's going to be a lot more strenuous and a lot more strict than the advice I'm giving you. The advice I'm giving you is from 15 years of pastoring and ministry and counseling and marriage counseling and couples counseling and therapy. So everything that I'm giving you is based on experience, is based on my experiments, is based on my expertise and my length of time doing what I do.
I damn sure don't want nobody to ask me my body count. I tell you that much.
I don't want anybody to ask me either.
But like you said, it does reveal a person's decision making. Yeah. My thing is, if you couldn't be faithful to yourself, what makes me think you're gonna be faithful to me? You couldn't keep your own standard. You couldn't keep your own culture and your own commitment. And I'm going to think that all of a sudden, just because you said I do to me, that you're going to be able to keep that commitment to me. So yes, I want to know how many people you've been with. Now, again, I ain't got to know name and stuff like that. And again, this was a conversation that me and my wife had in marriage counseling one time. It came up one time. We discussed it afterward. He said, hey, after counseling, y'all get on the phone and talk about it. We got on the phone and we talked about it. And literally, I remember where I was. I was in theater class in the back and we had a conversation about it. It was a 15-minute conversation. We never thought about it again. I'm not, now hear me. If you're going to use their body count to make them feel guilty, make them feel bad, try to have some type of spiritual authority, purity authority. Now you better because you've not had as many then that's dumb. That's going to be hurtful to the relationship. That's not going to end well. So if you have a self-righteous person asking for body count, then that's probably not the best thing to discuss while a person is still dealing with pride and self-righteousness. But if you have a person that's genuinely concerned about the relationship, about us growing together, and about us being transparent. Okay, if body count don't matter, does it matter after we get married?
Right. It does.
It does. So if it matters after we get married, it matters before we got married, because everything we did before we got married prepared us for marriage. It determined how we look at life, determined how we look at each other. So again, I don't need to know name and address. I don't need to know who was the best at this and what girl did this. I don't need to know that. We don't want to discuss that. We're not trying to cause competition or comparison. The purpose is for us to have constructive conversation about our needs, our desires, our expectations, and for us to give a little bit of clarity and articulation around our trauma and who we are now.
And if they self-righteous, you probably don't need to be marrying them in the first place. If that's going to be something that cause some real problems.
Or sharing that to just any and everybody.
No, this is not a common social conversation.
Right. No. Ask a young lady where her body count is and you're not quite happy about it. I think you also got to think about kind of what your situation is.
You can't be a hypocrite.
Yeah, you can't be a hypocrite.
You can't have a high body count and then fault her for having a high body count, because energy attract energy. Deep calleth unto deep. Most likely you attracted her and she got a high body count because, Negro, you got a high body count. So you're looking for females that got certain qualities, and you probably found somebody that you like.
And certain sexual experiences.
Exactly. 100%. Exactly. You ain't out there got a high body count and you just running the virgins that around the corner. You
exactly. Because where you at? Where you hanging at? Where you meeting these females at? So I think it's definitely hypocritical for you to then, disqualify her for a high body count when you have a high body count. And then my question is, your body count, when you slept with the girl you weren't married with, you became one of her bodies. So you're building up her bodies to then disqualify her. Think about that. So every female you sleep with, you becoming one of her bodies, but then you're going to turn around and say, oh, you got too many bodies. You was one of the bodies. So I think that's hypocritical, but I think also it shows you culture. It shows you that we put a lot more emphasis on the woman to be responsible for sexuality than we do for men.
That's a fact. It's so, and I used to be promoting that, like, it's okay for dudes to do this, but the women on the other hand, they got to be. And the reality is, it's like, now that I even understand it, because now sex has become a lot easier for me over the past, I would say, year, as we begin to have this certain level of notoriety, is becoming really, really easy. And what I'm realizing is that pretty much any woman who is expressing attractiveness or like expression of the interest in me, if I say we having sex, we having sex.
Yeah.
And it's really my decision.
Yeah.
Because I get
this man with a slayer real quick, because he's going crazy.
No. It really is, because I get they say women control the accesses. I do get that to a certain extent. Yeah. Obviously, you can't sleep with nobody. I'm not gonna let you sleep with them.
Right.
But if you are a man that a woman is into, if you agreeable that is happening, it's happening.
Yeah.
And they will allow you to make the decision for what's healthy for the both of them. So really, it's the man who should be having a higher level of responsibility when it comes to sex, which is why you go out and you get a woman pregnant. You're not going to blame her for not wearing a condom. It's you.
Right. It's you. 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but who usually has to take the responsibility of that? Who's going to carry the baby?
It's
Who's
the woman.
Who's going to have the baby? Who's going to raise the baby? Who's going to be there doing the mature thing? You were supposed to be the leader, though.
But you see, you had the option to do the mature thing at the front end. But being that you forgo the mature decision, and you went ahead and got lustful and had that, situation pop off, now you got this one, all the responsibility, and it's on the woman.
Right.
It's like you really gave up the leadership in that way.
Hear me. Grace covers sin, but grace don't cover consequences. Right? The blood of Jesus covers sin. It don't deal with consequences. Whatever sin you do, you still have to deal with the consequences of that. Whether that's memory, whether that's trauma, or whether that's a baby, you got to deal with those things. You got to deal with that issue. And what I don't like is the fact that the man talked her into it. She was like, no, And the man talked her into it, then got her pregnant, and then literally talked her out of having tried to talk her into having an abortion or whatever. She at least had some strength for that.
Right.
But then talked her out of don't take me to court. Don't ask for child support. He is so persuasive. He was able to do all of that. And now look, you stuck with the responsibility. So at some point, we have to have some type of responsibility. We have to have some type of culpability. We have to have some type of discipline in managing our body, or we're going to continue to have to deal with the consequences.